Art, what do you think was the biggest mistake that your family made? Not your personal family, your personal family. Yeah, I saw your mom again. She's lovely, but I'm certain she's not made any mistakes.
You're trying to say? Is there something wrong with my mom?
She's available. Wait a minute. Is this going on TV? My wife's going to see this.
She's filming it.
She's filming it, that's right. Sorry, back on track.
Well, I think they could have done a lot better parenting, like buying their children, like, PlayStation or something. Like, an Xbox would have done.
Yeah, make it an Xbox.
Yeah, an Xbox, like, I think they weren't nice enough to their children. Like, they could have given them a sword or something. Like, I know in the first episode I was playing with this wooden sword, but come on. Like, they're sitting there chopping people's head off while I'm just sitting there twirling this little sword.
Mouth of babes. Thomas, do you have a opinion on this question of whether or not these ducks were raised correctly?
I would say that they have been. They've had harsh raising, but they've all turned out to be very good people. But that's part of the problem, is they are very good, very respectable, trustworthy people, and in this world that we're setting, that's kind of very much taken advantage of, and that's, I think, their main downfall, is that they are genuinely good, honest, lovely people, and people just take advantage of that. The world is full of crooks and people that will manipulate and use people. And I think that's basically where they went wrong.
Do you think Jojen knows this, and he's trying to sort of guide Bran in a more realistic direction?
With dreams and three-eyed ravens and all sorts of magical, mystical stuff. Yeah, I think he's getting Bran to open his mind to a whole different way of thinking, and is kind of like a mentor to him, which is a world and a way of thinking that is not part of his upbringing whatsoever. So I think, yeah, he is completely changing the way he looks upon the world and looks upon life and people. And a lot of that is already inherent in Bran. It's just he doesn't realise, or isn't aware of it. I think Jojen just kind of pushes and nudges in the right direction and just helps him find it out for himself.
Awesome.
So, Isaac, do you agree with that? How do you see Bran and
Well, I think, back to Art's point about bad parenting, I think if you look at the stem of all the Stark's problems, it's Bran's disobedience. Everyone would still be very happy in King's Landing, and up in Winterfell would not be burnt down. So I think he has actually got a point. And the fact that clearly Bran was frustrated and didn't have enough to do, so he had to climb around and disobey his mum.
His mum said no climbing, and look what happened. All right, I'd like to turn this over now to the audience. We can have some randomly awesome or stupid questions, or both. You look awesome and stupid.
Red Wedding. Both sides of the pond, America and United Kingdom side of the pond, both seem to have different variations on how it was filmed and how brutal it was. I'd like to know what the panel thought about that.
I didn't actually know that. Was there a different version?
I think that the Americans sort of thought it was a bit more brutal than...
Oh, in the opinion?
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, from that reaction video that was mostly Americans screaming.
Yeah.
Well, obviously, I've known that scene was coming for years, and sort of clenching before it happened, and it still shocked me. It's still the violence and how it happened, and I think Michelle did just an amazing job, and she actually stole the whole season in that. It was horrific. It was so sad and so brutal. I think they did a really good job on it.
Yeah, that's an interesting question because, I mean, it has to affect you people. I mean, Ron, you're quote unquote the mentor of Ned. You watch him die. You raise Rob. You watch him die. You're an advisor to Catelyn. You watch her die. Yeah. Even out of character, just watching something like that, you can't help it. I imagine you can't help but be attached to it.
No, you do get very attached to it. I mean, and the relationship between Ned and Roderick, and the relationship between Catelyn and Roderick, and then of course the children, was very, very important to me, and I think it's important in the books as well. And you do get very, very affected by it. As I think I said to you earlier, that someone like Roderick is not frightened of death. I mean, none of these men, none of these warriors, I think, are scared of dying. The nature of their deaths, I think, obsesses them. They don't want to die in a manner that they would consider unfitting or ignoble. But for Roderick, at the very last, the horror of his death is that he's leaving the people that he loves without protection, because Ned's already gone, and he can see finally, when he's on his knees in the courtyard, he can see the writing on the wall. But it's just taken too long for the realization to dawn on him. But as a performer, you get, on the day we did that, when we were performing, it was sad and it was touching working with the guys who we'd had such fun together, and we'd spent such a lot of time together. It was, and everybody else in the scene was so terrific in it. Christian and Art and Isaac and Donald. I mean, it was a very moving thing to do, and you do feel that another chapter in the books closes. You feel personally another chapter in your life closes. So yeah, you do get involved with it. You do.
Well, that is one thing that I have to say that it's sad about working in Game of Thrones when there's such a high death count that we all really do. I know Isaac agrees with this, like that the family sort of decreases each year.
Yes.
And it's really sad. I think we really miss Richard and Michelle and everything.
Yeah.
You get attached to everybody, and they all slowly drop off like flies. But that's the end of the game.
Real quick, Art, were you allowed to watch the Red Wedding?
I wasn't.
Okay, so we'll just let you know it's terrible, and you can watch in about 8 years.
I heard my friends talking about it, and I was thinking, like, I was gonna search it up, but then my mum would just go mental at me. Like, I wouldn't be able to anywhere near my phone or my iPad for 2 years. She would literally say, right, when you're old enough to watch it, then you can have your thing back.
So let me ask you something else. Those of you that don't know, Art is going to be in a reboot of Dracula. So that's not exactly not filled with blood. Are you going to be allowed to watch Dracula?
Well, I've read the script,
Huh.
and there might be a few scenes, that are a bit edgy, but by edgy, I mean impaling. But hopefully, my mum's back there, you can ask her. Will I be allowed to watch it?
I'll have to clear your eyes through some part.
There we go. All right.
There's your answer.
Art has learned the art form of using panels to manipulate his parents.
Good idea, Art. I should try that.
Mommy, will I feel like
Okay. Yes, we're going to get to more questions real quick, but to answer your question, I know that it was a specific question. Yes, I do believe Americans are more sensitive than most people. Your question, ma'am.
First, I want to say hi to everybody on town. Okay, my question is for Isaac personally. What was so, special in the first season was the dynamic between the Stark brothers, especially between Bran, Jon, and Robb, the relationship that they had. And kind of one of the surprising scenes in season 3 was, I guess Bran's dream in reuniting with Jon and Robb. So how was that for you working again with Kit and Richard?
It was so nice. We were all talking. We were finally. I think we hadn't had a scene together since when the king arrived at Winterfell in the sort of first episode. And I think also what's nice about it is that you really up with these people from the pilot, I mean, when I was 10, I think, all the way up to now when I'm 14. You've spent so long with these people, and to finally sort of actually interact with them again in sort of a way, to, you know, actually in it is really nice. And also sort of going back to Christian's point about, you know, everyone dropping off, what I think is quite nice about that is, you know, you've got a limited time with them. So when sort of with Richard, you knew he was going to go that season, and I suppose it just made it a lot more special, sort of all your scenes with him, because, you know, he wasn't going to be there forever, was he?
That's nice. And a real quick follow-up to that, Isaac, when you got the script, was there kind of like a little, oh yay moment where you're like, hey, I get to do it? Yeah, right?
Yeah.
Because it's not a book. Yeah, that's awesome. All right. Question. Lady in the back.
So despite all of the family's efforts, Theon never really felt he was a part of the Stark family. Do you think that there's anything that the Starks could have done differently to make him feel more like a member of the Stark entourage, thus saving many of our favorite characters? Or was it just never would happen? Maybe if he'd gotten that Xbox, he would have felt more.
Again, I agree with that. PlayStation would have been fine. But I think it would have been hard. Like, imagine you being taken away from your family to come live with these other people. You would never quite forgive them, you know. But yeah, the Xbox would have been nice.
You mean games with the Xbox?
Yeah, like you can get on the PlayStation. You can get the Game of Thrones game. So like, why couldn't he go back to his family and not like? There's so many things that could have helped Theon and Rickon and Isaac, Bran, and everyone just with a simple PlayStation.
Ron, was there any saving Theon?
I think the damage had been done before Theon came to Winterfell. I think that's the problem, that, you know, we've all heard famous quotes about various organisations saying if you give them a child until they're 8 years old, then you have them for life. And I think the Greyjoys had done their damage to Theon, and there's no suggestion that Ned Stark was anything other than good and kind to him. Theon's aberrant behaviour is a product of his genes and his early upbringing, not the manner in which he was treated by the Starks. He's an unforgivable little toad.
All this applause. I like Theon. I don't know why you guys are hating him. He's still alive.
Yeah.
You, sir.
This is a follow-up to that. Do you think he deserved what happened and he should?
I wouldn't wish that on any. I sort of a 1960s liberal perspective on punishment. I would like him to have been shown the error of his ways and everybody to live happily ever after. But if George wants to have people cut bits off him, that's okay.
Yes.
I don't know if any of you can comment on this, but I was wondering if any of you had recorded any audio commentaries for season 3 yet?
Audio commentaries for like the DVD, like you do the voiceover stuff for DVD.
I don't think we can really talk about stuff that hasn't been released yet. You know what I mean? Sorry.
People have done it before, I think. You're probably wrong, I'm just guessing here. So.